So, how are your New Year resolutions going? How are your goals for 2026 going? February is that month of the year that reveals the truths. It's often the month that many well-intentioned resolutions begin to crumble. I know late last year we talked about how to stay on track with your goals. I will link that episode in today's show notes so that you can go over that again, because we are not diving into resolutions this time. Instead, we are focusing on something else. If writing a book is one of your goals for this year, if you've decided that 2026 is the year you will finally become a published author, I want to let you know I am cheering you on every step of the way. But here is the honest truth. If it is not on your calendar, it will never get done. So, in this episode, I encourage you to grab your calendar and start assigning real timelines to your goal. Then I will walk you through what you need to know to make sure that this goal works out. Welcome to the Minute Mastery Podcast, a conversational productivity and time management podcast where busy authors and entrepreneurs are inspired to create time for what truly matters. I'm your host, Ngozi Edema. I'm a time management coach, writer, and entrepreneur. Here, you are encouraged to turn your minutes into milestones and to create at least 1 hour a day working on your goals without feeling overwhelmed. When a child goes to school for the very first time, we often talk about how we feel. Mama's daycare was born from that quiet moment when Mama is suddenly left alone and a little helper is gone. In this story, we meet Nene, a bright, imaginative little girl who is excited to start kindergarten. But then she begins to worry. What will her mama do all day without her? So Nene does what children do best. She imagines a solution. She creates a daycare just for Mama, right across the street from her school, filled with fun, comforting activities to keep Mama happy until they are together again. This book is an invitation for parents and children to talk about separation, about worries, about change, and about how love doesn't disappear when routines change. Mama's Daycare helps spark imagination, build empathy, open gentle conversations about big transitions. It's a story for children starting school and for the mamas learning to let go. Just a little. I hope this book becomes a comforting read for your family during this season of change. Mama's Daycare is available in the Kindle store and on paperback cover. I began my journey as a children's book author in my late 40s. At the time, I had a little 5-year-old who was about to start kindergarten. I was a stay-at-home mom, constantly busy and with very little time for myself. And just as I was getting used to having my little helper with me, that chapter of my life was coming to an end. She was going to school. My youngest child is going to school. I found myself asking a quiet but powerful question. What next? What do moms do when their babies grow up and no longer need them in this way? That question became the seed of my very first children's book, Mama's Daycare. It was written from the perspective of a 5-year-old, imagining what every mama would rather be doing, still caring, still present, still close, even as life begins to change. This 5-year-old gave a self-care checklist for her mama. That was the beginning of my journey as a children's book author. If you've ever been around with me for a while, you know my message. Share your work, invite feedback, and let it help you grow. I have spent several years getting feedback. I have tried many things to know what works and what doesn't. So in this episode, I want to take you on a journey on the lessons I have learned as a children's book author so you can embark on your own journey a better person. My experiences have helped shape my life and future decisions. I know what to do and what not to do. It reminds me of an African proverb that says, when a child stumbles and falls, she looks forward. But when an elder falls, she looks back. The elder checks what was it that made me fall. And then she uses this knowledge to guide future decision making. Sometimes, though, you may not need to stumble yourself before you can make great decisions. You only have to look at others, listen to what made other people stumble, and hear them out as they tell you how they coped and overcame those challenges. So here is what I would do if I was launching a children's book in 90 days. Let me say very clearly, especially when you are over 40 and starting out your very first children's book, I will not wait until the book is finished before I start talking about it. I will start marketing immediately. And no, marketing is not evil like I used to think. Marketing is simply how ideas get transferred from one person to the other. How ideas go to the people that you are meant to serve. And your story deserves to be found. And only you can tell people about your story. If you keep quiet, no one else can shout it out for you. Let's be clear on something. Marketing is not always manipulative. Marketing is not shouting. Marketing is not always convincing people to buy something that they don't need. And yes, hear me out. I use the word always because many times we are convinced to buy things we do not need. So there has to be some form of balance so that you are sending out the right message. Marketing is communication. You already market things every single day without knowing. Think of that job interview that you went for. You didn't just sit down there and hope that your future employers notice your potential. You communicate why you are the right fit for that job, your skills, your experience, and what value are you bringing to the table. That is marketing. Or think about that time you were planning a vacation with your family or friend group. Every person or your friend group has a different opinion. They have an opinion on destination, on food, on budget, on itinerary. You have your own opinion too. How do you sell your opinion to the rest of the people in your group? You make a case for your idea. You explain why it makes sense to do it the way you know. You highlight what makes it appealing. That is marketing. Communicating what you think is right and hoping that others buy into it. So when it comes to your children's book, marketing is simply this: telling the right people why this story matters. And if you don't do that, like I said earlier on, no one else will. And the right people may not be your family or your friends. So don't get discouraged if they are not listening, if they are not buying your ideas. The right people will eventually find you. And it is not always that family and friends are bad, but they are not your audience. And you must stay consistently in the right space in order to attract your own audience. If you continuously move, then the right audience will find you. The biggest mistake I will not make is to wait for my book to be finished, for my book to be perfect before I start talking about it. Most first-time authors think, let me finish the book first. Let me understand publishing first. Let me get confident first. But confidence comes after visibility, not before it. If I were starting over again, I will decide this early. This book is getting finished in 90 days, and I'm going to let people know about my journey. I'm going to get a calendar and map out the time and put it down. 3 months from today, I will be launching my children's book. I would then let people know about it. That decision removes secrecy, and secrecy is what kills momentum. I would then have a 4-phase 90-day plan. Phase 1, weeks 1 to 2. I will choose the book and start the conversation. One clear children's book, one age group, and one emotional takeaway that I'll be putting in the book. And this is where marketing begins, not at the end. I will then start shouting it out that I am writing a children's book. I will share why the story matters to me, why that topic matters to me, and put the book on pre-order early. Here is the thing about pre-orders. Pre-orders aren't pressure. They are a commitment that you make with yourself. They tell your brain that this is the real thing. So go over to Amazon KDP and put your book on pre-order now. For ebooks on Amazon, the Kindle Direct Publishing, you can set up your pre-order for up to 1 year before your release date. That means customers can pre-order your book anytime during your year leading up to when it officially launches. You must then upload your final manuscript at least 72 hours before your release date, or Amazon will cancel the pre-order. Doing this is a form of accountability and marketing before your launch dates. Take note, though, that print pre-orders aren't supported directly by KDP. You may have to look at other platforms for that to happen. So go over to your calendar, please. Decide your launch date and get a temporary book cover and set your book to pre-order. You can now have a link and start promoting your book on your social media platform. Weeks 3 to 6, write without performing. Did you know you are only 32 pages away from publishing your first children's book? Yes, 32 pages. That is what is required. If you commit to at least 20 minutes of writing a day, 5 days a week, and have the weekends off to relax with family and friends, you can still make your 90 days count. So if I was starting all over, this is where I will protect my time fiercely. I wouldn't write for applause. I wouldn't write for Instagram. I would just complete the story. I will protect my short writing blocks of time. No editing, no overthinking, because unfinished books don't help children and they don't help you either. This is where I start using time management systems to block and protect my time and let family members and friends know that I'm working on an important project. And guess what? If you let them know what you're working on, they are likely going to support you. Weeks 7 to 10 is when you start building a team, not burnout. I know we are used to doing things ourselves, but on this occasion, let other people come and help you out with some of the tasks. I wouldn't try to do everything myself if I was launching again. Yes, I know technology can be a bit of a struggle sometimes, but I will know enough to be able to hire where needed. I will know enough to make clear decisions, and I will know enough to make me avoid endless research loops. Marketing at this stage is still simple. Share your progress, share your lessons, share the why behind the book. People don't fall in love with polished launches. They fall in love with real journeys. Then by weeks 11 to 13, that is when you launch with integrity. By this time, the book launches. Marketing doesn't feel awkward because it's been happening all along. You've been telling people. So if I was starting all over again, I wouldn't sell at this point. I would invite. I would say, this book was created with intention. If it resonates with you or your child, I will be honored if you make my book a part of your home. That is not selling. That is leadership. If I were to start all over again, I will remind myself of this. You are not bad at marketing. You are just used to putting yourself behind. Marketing your book is not about ego. It's about stewardship. It's about taking responsibility for the story you have written. And stories that aren't shared don't get to do their work. When I was a little girl, I remember my grandfather. He was an amazing cook. His curries were unforgettable because he was a chef. But in the community where I grew up, people didn't write recipes. Cooking knowledge was passed on by memory. and observation. So when he died, that knowledge died with him. All I was left with were memories, no written legacy. Very sad. That is why I believe so deeply in leaving something behind. A book is more than pages. It's a way for your children and your grandchildren to still see you, to hear you, and to feel you long after you have gone. Leave your story behind. Leave your knowledge and leave a book. If this episode resonated with you or someone you know, if what I would do if I was launching a children's book in 90 days felt like it was speaking directly to you, then I would love to invite you to take the next step. Join the Bedtime to Bookshelf waitlist, where I guide women 40 plus through a clear step-by-step path to writing, publishing, and launching their first children's book without overwhelm and without doing it alone. You will find a link in this episode's show notes. I can't wait to support you as you embark on this journey. Thanks for tuning in to the Minute Mastery Podcast. If you have found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who could use more time in their day. And remember to subscribe, check out the links in this episode's show notes, and leave us a review. Until next time, you are in control of your time, and you've got this.